Okay, we get this question asked all the time, and I'm going to answer it the best that I can. And it's the question of what are the best baits for May, June, July, each month. And I'm not going to give you a perfect answer on that because there is no perfect answer. And it kind of gets under my skin when I see certain people say that there's a certain bait. There are so many variables out there that I can't tell you a specific bait or a couple specific baits for this month or that month or this body of water because there's so many variables involved. If I could tell you one thing, it'd be a bladed jig. And if you guys have followed me, if you follow tournament fishing, it's a bladed jig. A bladed jig is probably the most versatile bait out there. It catches fish all year long, no matter where we go. On that note, let me talk about June. June is the start of summer. So that being said, June, I would say, is the start of summer. And I'm going to go all over the board just because I'm going to try to give you the best answer I can and cover the whole country when it comes to bass fishing. But June means the start of summer. So more than likely, the number one technique to do this time of year, I'm not going to say one bait, I'm going to say a technique, and that's topwater. Everybody loves to fish topwater. And I would say the month of June, no matter where you're at in the country, topwater is going to come into play. Now, it's 2:30 in the afternoon, sunny. Says they won't bite a frog. Now, on that note, depending on where you're fishing, it's going to depend on what type of topwaters. You know, your shallow, dirtier lakes, meaning your buzz baits or you know, poppers, something like that. You get to your bigger clearwater lakes and your walking baits and baits like that. So topwaters are definitely a key for this time of year. I mean, I look back at last year when we were at Lake St. Clair and there was a mayfly hatch, and guess what that meant? It meant I had an amazing day throwing a little popper out on Lake St. Clair. So if you're seeing some surface activity and it's June, definitely topwater. Now I'm going to touch on a little bit of old school. June, another technique, especially when it comes to largemouth and more of your reservoirs, your Tennessee river type lakes and all that, and that's a big worm. Big worm, I mean, it's summertime, it's worm fishing. You know, maybe not so much for smallmouth fishing, but a big worm is a huge player. You know, back to that saying again, that variable, if you're up north smallmouth fishing, doesn't really matter what time of year, a drop shot's a big player. So June, definitely topwaters for smallmouth, but you got to have a drop shot of some sort tied on. Another big bait in the summertime, and I look back early in my career, this is your time to fish crankbaits. You more than likely you're at the tail end of your shad spawn going on. Probably some of your lakes you're still going to have a shad spawn going on. You've got your bluegill spawning, but this is where your fish tend to start to get out to more of your deeper haunts. You're, you know, into your 10, 15, 20, even 30, 40 foot of water. And that's where a lot of these big deep diving crankbaits can come into play. And that's where you need to just have a variety. You might have one that dives in your 10 to 14 foot range, and then one that's in that 15 to 20 foot range and even deeper divers. So you got to figure out what depth that your bass are actually at before you can say, I'm going to go throw this crankbait or this is the best crankbait for June. So another big deal there. You know, I did mention topwater. One on that we've seen a lot of action on is a frog. You know, back to that topwater fishing. June is a phenomenal month to throw a frog as well. So, but what we've also seen with some of our events, I think one that was a big eye opener is a jerkbait. I think most people think of a jerkbait being a pre-spawn thing, maybe a spawn thing. And we just saw at the Chowan River here the first week of June in North Carolina, and a jerkbait was a big player. So don't discount some technique as well just because you didn't see a pro talk about it in the YouTube video either. I know I've kind of rambled on and went all over the place, but if you want to keep it simple, your largemouth fishing, some form of topwater, a crankbait of some form, and a worm. Good thing, good places to start. Everybody loves topwater action. If you can have it, it's always fun and exciting. Smallmouth, same thing. Topwater action and a drop shot. You can't go wrong. And just like I said at the beginning, if all else fails, pick up a bladed jig, because the bladed jig catches them in this deep of water, it catches them in 20 feet of water, and it catches all three species of bass. So get out there, keep more of an open mind, find out what works for you in June, and then you can be telling me how I need to be catching them in June.
There's one on the chat. Gosh, these things have some power. And you can't ever discount the chatterbait.
So June. So you know a lot about June too, and is where you're fishing, and what I mean by that is, you know, we can talk Florida to Maine to California and everywhere in between. So obviously there's a lot of different climates there, and there's a lot of different fisheries there. You have a lot of your shallow, grassy Florida type lakes where deep water to them might be 5 foot. And then, you know, you talk about a big highland reservoir like we have here in the Midwest, you know, a Table Rock or Bull Shoals or something like that, to, you know, a tidal fishery out at like the California Delta, or, you know, where we're headed, the James River, or even on that note, some of your Great Lakes up north for, you know, your smallmouth as well. So there's a lot of variables in there of how these fish are going to behave in June, and the actual techniques that they'll want to eat. Fishing in June can be a blast. It's summertime. Usually means it's going to be warm weather, good conditions to be out there on the water. But I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit up here and just tell you these are the 3 baits for June, because there's so many variables in play, from the different types of water that you're fishing, the different fisheries, the conditions, all that stuff. So, you know, hopefully what I'm telling you is more of an honest answer of, it really depends on where you're fishing. It is June, so it does mean topwater time. So if there's going to be one thing, get out there and throw the topwater. But there are so many variables on even the top waters that you fish of you know, where you're fishing. So get out there, figure out what the fish want, and have a great time.
Oh gosh. Uh-oh.
Oh. Oh yeah. Look at that one. Not bad for a nice hot afternoon. Man, he choked it too.
Don't think that's a 1/8. This thing's smaller than the other one I just had. There's a fish. Oh yeah, that's gonna make it. Stay there, baby. Man. Right up on that tree.
Yes, sir. Scale is 0.
Is he 112? 113.
1 pound, 13 ounces.
113.
Yes,
there we
sir.
go. There's one on the chat. Gosh, these things have some power. And you can't ever discount the chatterbait. So, a 4-pounder maybe.